when you've got highlights of your life, you go, I don't think I've ever been this cold.
Yeah.
That's flooding memories of Toowoomba.
It's funny though, because there's something about that particular cold as well. Same thing out in Granite Belt, Warwick, anywhere sort of that sort of southwestern Queensland. It gets so cold. TK.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello, mate.
How are you?
Welcome to my humble abode.
I'm feeling very Billions tonight. I don't know for anyone that's watched Billions, there's an episode where they go to that, whatever that wanker summit of billionaires is that happens every year, where everyone talks about how good the world is, and they all fly in their private jets and have a raucous weekend in Switzerland or something like that. There's a scene where it's very similar to this, so I'm feeling very
mate,
a bit fancy.
This is my house, and we just got arseholed from the restaurant, so it's nothing like that.
It's a good problem to have when the restaurants are too busy that we can't film in them. So
I know. I'd like to say sorry, but I'm not really.
No, you're not at all.
But I'm sorry that I had to drag you guys out to the base of the hinterland in the middle of winter.
There's worse places to be.
I did stoke the fire, so sorry, not sorry.
And for everyone not in this room, this is the second time we're attempting to record this podcast because we had
took the punchline away from me, Corey. I was going
to failure.
I was going to fucking smash you.
I got to take the words out of your mouth first. I got to beat you to it.
I was pretending that nothing ever happened, even though we just lost 4 hours of recording. No, it wasn't that long.
Until I get that invoice. Time is money.
But it is cool. That's for sure.
Is,
There's a reason why we're sitting in front of a fire. It's not like we're just
Was it like a balmy 26 down the Gold Coast today?
No. I think it was like 21 or something like that. So I was in Brisbane today, so it wasn't too bad. But it was definitely
windy.
Cool. It was very, very windy. It feels like August. Like it feels like old school kind of Eka weather in Brisbane at the moment.
On Sunrise this morning, they had a reporter down on the Gold Coast at it used to be called Soul. It's now called Peppers. And she's like, apparently that's a notorious wind tunnel there.
Right.
And she was like, she could hardly even stand up. But then she took one step to the right and nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
Her hair was like, what?
And then completely fine.
Yeah. So
it's like that. There's a couple of buildings in Brisbane where they're like, hello.
Anybody listening or watching, you can have her.
No, I think she's probably a little bit big for my place, but
you really can't.
No, of course. But it has dropped down a couple of degrees, and it's interesting to sort of see the behaviour that changes when it does get a little bit cooler. Oh, well done. Have you noticed much in the restaurant in terms of people's behaviour changing with the weather? Or?
Mate, yeah, it's hard. I mean, anything outside in the beginning of winter's hard. Like we track data very well. I know we've spoken about it 1,000 times, but from Mother's Day until the June, July school holidays for us, it's quiet. And then
you like the fact the dog's in shot there.
So, hang on. Yeah, so for us, Mother's Day through to the June, July school holidays is notoriously our quietest time of year.
Right. Okay.
Like every single year, that's
where it just drops off.
Yeah, so we've hit June, July school holidays now, and we've sort of with the school holidays, we've seen some normalisation, but the Sunshine Coast from Mother's Day, as soon as it goes, it's 20 degrees. We might need a cardigan to go out at night time.
Yeah. We
see trades start dropping off, but then as soon as the school holidays come around, people go, it's not that cold on the Sunshine Coast. In the hinterland here, like we're at the base of the hinterland, and this morning it was 4 degrees here.
Yeah.
Hence, we've got a big fireplace here. It's fucking cold.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people don't understand that there's plenty of places in Queensland that are like this.
Yeah.
You know, anywhere sort of as soon as you start going up like Toowoomba, west of Toowoomba, my gosh, it gets cold out there.
Like I want to say Toowoomba's one of the coldest places in Australia that doesn't snow. I've been in Toowoomba in -3 and it's not snowing. And you look on your phone and it says feels like, and I think it was like -9. Like it was one of the cold. When you've got highlights of your life, you go, I don't think I've ever been this cold.
Yeah.
That's flooding memories of Toowoomba.
It's funny though, because there's something about that particular cold as well. Same thing out in Granite Belt, Warwick, anywhere sort of that sort of southwestern Queensland. It gets so cold that.
Do those wine regions like this is their go time?
In terms of tourists?
Yeah.
I think, definitely. In terms of Granite Belt, definitely.
Because they want to go out there for a fire.
They go down there and they have the experience. Exactly. Yeah. You sit around, you drink some red, drink some fortified, sit by the fire. It's nice, but it's not pretty to look at. Like the ground's just full of sticks. But In terms of time of the year, I think this is probably one of the busiest times of them. I think it's both ends.
Yeah.
But it is. I'd much prefer to be there in winter than summer because it's still pretty bloody warm.
Your time with spices, was it like that? Because
Yeah.
that spices property you manage it from here, because Mel used to work there. From
Yep.
here to there is 9 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
And she always used to say it's the prettiest time.
Oh, it's actually for me the prettiest time was just as the leaves turn because there's actual trees up in the hinterland that drop leaves.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why that time of the year is sort of really hectic for weddings.
Yeah.
Because the photos are incredible
Beautiful.
at that time of the year. And then you've got the drama of winter where there's no leaves on the trees, and that's a different look altogether. So
The stick look.
the stick look, exactly. But yeah, it was. I mean, we'd be lighting fires a lot of the year up there. People would ask for the fires to be lit all the time. It's like it's 25 degrees. I remember, but I also remember there was one year it was October, and we were lighting the fires because it was cold.
I remember lighting one a bit early up at the lodge in Spices
Peak, yeah.
I just sweated my fucking ass off all night. I had to hop up and open the door, open the windows.
Yeah, so it's not great when you've got the fire on and the air conditioning happening at the same time. So,
but I did go up in winter, and I tell you what, I didn't do it then because holy shitballs, it was cold.
Yeah, you need to do it.
That was freezing.
Yeah, it's very cold.
I think it snowed up there.
It has snowed up there. Yeah, it definitely has multiple times. It snows in Stanthorpe.
But I guess going back to your original question, how does it impact us? I mean, we've got outside heaters, and a lot of our restaurants have got significant outside dining. But,
Yeah.
mate, the way the buildings are built in Queensland, they're not built for good outside heating. They've got those big concrete soffites outside that overhang outside dining, but it's
So
like
far up.
5 meters up. So the landlord doesn't want this massive big metal thing hanging low.
So you can have a heater.
Yeah, so it's all it's a bit convoluted. Like it feels like 1,000 years ago, I had restaurants in Toowoomba, and they were built for that.
Yeah.
And we had this heater. I remember it was a cracker. It was a tubular heater. It was about 10 or 15 centimeters round, and it flowed out and then looped back on itself. There's a little motor at the end. It was gas operated. It'd shoot gas into the little motor. There was a pilot light. It'd light the gas, but then
It sounds like a flamethrower so far.
But then the little fan just blew hot air through the tube.
Yeah.
So you could sit right underneath it, and there was this very gentle, warm,
Just like
air
flowing
blowing
over
down.
you. Yeah,
So,
right.
and I don't have any hair on top of my head either.
I'm pretty
Like,
susceptible.
So those mushroom heaters, or most heaters,
They're too hot for me.
it can be fucking snowing outside, and you still get that searing heat.
Yeah.
Where up there, you can crank these things right up.
Yeah.
And it's not that fierce heat.
Yeah.
It was just gentle and warming.
Yeah.
But very few places down on the coast will you be able to put them.
I remember going to a wedding in Bowral in the middle of
Yeah, it gets cold
middle
out
of
there.
winter, and Jesus, this thing was cold. And they had one of those like industrial jet heaters,
Yeah,
and the side there's this huge marquee, and my pants got shrunk.
they still hire companies hire
Yeah.
them out of it as heaters. A lot of places, a lot of warehouses, and that use.
I'd
it.
never seen them before. This is a long time ago.
Picture
but
the arse end of an F-111
Yeah.
or an F-16.
Yeah, exactly.
Raptor.
I'm about to do a dump and burn, and we're just going to do that in a giant marquee. It was not a great experience.
Anyone with polyester, you need to
Yeah.
exit stage.
I think from memory, my pants were 10 cell. Do you remember that stuff?
yes,
It was so comfortable and so soft, but it was just so much polyester.
because you didn't have to fucking iron it. You
No, it
lazy
was
prick.
great. They were awesome, but I'm pretty sure they ended up about 3/4 up my leg by the end of the dinner. Anyway,
Cold
So it
ankles
was
by
stupid.
midnight.
Absolutely stupid.
But-
Wouldn't do that again.
Mate, yeah. So like everybody, we've tweaked and adjusted menus to suit the weather. And,
Yeah.
You know,
In
but
what way? Like heavier dishes, or just like more of those sort of
a little bit richer.
favourites?
Throw that sauce on the stove for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
A little bit more reduced, but. They're not huge changes. A lot of great specials coming out, but you would know the wines are particular.
Huge.
There's-
Massive shift.
It's like as soon as it goes from 26 to 24 degrees,
Yeah.
it's like fucking Shiraz.
There's literally a switch. I don't know when it actually happens, but it's very noticeable when you sort of see it. All of a sudden, the sales go from, let's say, 70-30 to like 60-40 to like 50-50, and then all of a sudden it's like reds are leading for the first time. It doesn't last long.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but it is funny that in Queensland it's like, oh no, it's cold now, we can drink red.
I'm the same here, mate. Like I don't know. And Melissa's off the piss at the moment, so I'm a single drinker at home, and it's only been the last few weeks where I'm like, I feel like a glass of red, and I don't know whether it's a mental thing.
I think
Cooler,
I even think like last week as well. I was sort of was under the weather and it was like I was craving heavy things to eat. Like I was like, I want carbs. I didn't actually want to eat anything, but my body was like, eat big rich things. And I was like, well, I don't actually think I want that. But
yeah, so maybe we've got a few slow cooked dishes and stuff on, but the menu at Rice Boy, it's not one of those traditional menus that changes with the season. Yeah, so it just means that
if you change the menu there, you'd probably have a riot.
I would be dead.
Yeah,
but it's funny. One of the only restaurants I know where people will have a glass of Cabernet Merlot or a glass of Shiraz
with their curry
at Christmas.
Yeah,
like. I don't know how the fuck physically you can do it.
I think it's one of those things though. It's like I kind of envy people that can do that. It's like if you walk around, there's plenty of, let's say, corporate restaurants in any capital city where there's guys eating a dozen oysters and having a steak with a bottle of basket press, and it's like, what are you doing? It's just like
sweating.
But then it's like, go for it. I don't care.
I'm the same, man. I really am.
I don't want to do it, but you can go for it.
We've said it 1,000 times before. Just go your hardest.
Absolutely. Actually, I saw a thing the other day with, I can't remember, it was like Thomas Keller. There was a whole group of chefs talking.
Jamie Oliver?
Maybe?
Yeah, because they just did the chef's table.
Oh, was it chef's table, maybe? And they were talking about when someone orders a steak and that kind of stuff. And it was really interesting to hear them. They're like, they can do whatever they want. It's like, no shit.
The analogy I use with my staff, if somebody come up to you on the street and said, can I give you $50? Would you go, nah.
Yeah.
Don't think I will, because you really shouldn't have that steak cooked medium well.
Yeah.
Like from a restaurateur's perspective, it's like, fuck it.
Take the money.
Very well done. I'll just cook you the very best, very well done steak I can possibly cook you. No problem. You're eating it. I'm not.
And we used to have a great customer at restaurant too, Chris, who many stories. I'll just tell. He liked his steak. He described it as a hockey puck. He's like, I want an eye fillet.
You've mentioned it on the show.
It's just like, I want it to be cooked like a hockey puck. And it's like, no problems, dude. Go for it. I mean, it's like, we'll find you a piece of meat that is going to taste as good as it possibly can in that situation.
Pre-cooking.
Dave was like standing on the pan almost.
My old man would say to a restaurant, open the oven door, and somebody would cut in 90% of the time and say, yeah, we'll finish it in the oven. No, jam it in the oven door.
Oh, as in smash it?
I want it like horse chaff, dry.
Oh.
And see, like he just wanted this fucking 180 grams of fucking charcoal.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's the way he had it.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, if that's your thing, that's your thing. Like, no problems at all. I just remember an experience when I was in France and I was very young, and I got taken to a really incredible restaurant in the Limousin region. The big white cows, and this restaurant had its own paddock. Like, we were in a paddock and it's surrounded by cows, and it's like, that's my lunch over there. And my French was horrendous, and I remember the people that I was with, they said, how would you like your steak cooked? And I said, well done. And the waitress just said no. She was like, no. And I was like, yeah, très bien. And we're like, very well. And she's like, no.
Terry
I was like, okay. And this thing came out, and as far as I'm concerned, it was mooing.
Oh, really?
It was raw. Like,
really?
Just past blue. It was barely warm.
Have you ever been in a scenario in a function and as a guest and cut into it like a lamb rack or a steak, and you cut into it and then you push it to one side and then you start looking at everybody's...
It's like, is it just me?
This is going to be fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, they have fucked 80 meals up
All
here.
of them, yeah.
I was at Twin Waters once, and that happened with a lamb rack.
Just
I touched it. It was raw. It was cold. This is going back 20 years ago,
They just
25 years ago.
They hadn't done the regen.
I don't know what happened, but I remember, because my old man was a well done, like I just said. So I'm at the table with him and like 100 other people, and I cut into this lamb, and the look on his face was like somebody was trying to poison him, and I touched it. It was fucking cold. So I just sat back watching this.
It's about to happen.
Comedy show. And
you can just imagine, it's like, what do you do from that? Are we taking 80 plates back into the kitchen, and how are we doing this? We got to replate everything. It's like, no, I just leave. I just out. But the thing is, I'm actually really thankful for that waitress, because she just wouldn't let me have it any other way. This thing came out. I wasn't paying. I'm like, I have to eat this food. And I did. And I ate this basically, as far as I was concerned, raw steak. And it was...
Was it warm in the middle?
Just barely. It was, as I said, it was probably medium rare. Don't get me wrong.
Hungry?
But it's like, yes.
Yeah, that helps.
I was poor. I was so hungry. And
you
it was
were
like...
not going to
I
pass.
ate things when I was traveling in France. There's no way if I had another $3 in my pocket, I would have eaten them.
Like nettle soup.
There's two things.
Yum.
One was the steak. The second thing, but as I said, I was finished that because I'm really thankful that she made me eat that because I realized that that's where the flavor was.
Right.
So by cooking it, the temperature further.
Did you enjoy it?
I don't know if I enjoyed it at the time, but it was. I struggled through it. I was just about vomited, to be honest. The other thing that I'll never forget, and I still hate this.
Got this picture of you doing 2 chews in a dry reach.
Oh, it wasn't great. And as I said, this restaurant was proper fancy. I don't even know. The place we were staying was this village. It had 12 people in it.
I've got vivid memories of Eliza eating that sushi in Japan with you. Olive turtle soup. That's what it was. God. She was choo.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kate.
Keeping it down, but that's the thing.
I'm picturing this French lady staring at you as you're trying to keep your steak down.
The other thing in France that, again, 1,000 years ago that I ate, I was in a place called Besançon. And again, I had no money and went out with some people that I'd met. And we went to this pizza place. I'll never forget it. It was called Black Hawks. And it was the ghost of France past. The pizzas looked amazing, and someone was there was like, you should have the calzone, it's incredible. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. So I ordered a calzone, and so I had, it was francs at that stage, so I can't remember how much it was, but it was a lot, and I didn't, as I said, I had nothing. So
$10 would have been a lot for you back then.
$1 would have been a lot. And so I ordered this pizza, it came out, I'm like, oh, this looks good, it's beautiful, folded over, half crescent, it's like, this is great. And I cut into it, and an egg white just ran out of it. Like raw egg.
Egg white.
Like albumin. And
What's albumin?
The albumin is the white of the egg.
Is it?
Albumin,
Never heard of that. Have you heard of that term before?
Yeah. So you've got the albumin and the yolk. Oak. It's not fucking wine. Yolk. But yeah, so this raw egg just ran all over my plate. And I'm like, I have to fucking eat this because I have no choice. And to this day, if I see raw egg, I'm out. Like I can't if an egg arrives where I can see like through it.
That little bit of jelly.
Yeah, no.
How are you with yolk
no problems.
Tartar.
I don't eat tartar anymore.
Don't you? Oh, you said that the other night.
Yeah. I'm just kind of done. I've just had enough. I don't know, and I'll probably get some hate for that, but I just thought, whatever. I feel like there's a few things that I just feel like I've had enough of in my life.
I'm a bit like that with sea urchin. We had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, but I'm a bit like that. Like, I know it's a luxury item.
Yeah, I can take it or leave it.
Really.
Same.
It's not my thing.
No,
I had some truffles today, and they were fucking ordinary, mate.
Really?
Yeah.
Aussie?
And I get this, yes, and it's this constant rush. As soon as winter hits, truffle. They pull them out of the ground too fucking early.
They're not right.
They taste like shit. Sorry, they don't taste like shit.
They don't have the flavour.
They don't have that perfume. They've got to stay in the ground longer. And I get the commercial common sense says, if you can get them out, get them out, get them sold. But it's like, fuck. That is the... I'll get some hate for this. I reckon that's the difference between the French truffles, Italian truffles, and the Australian truffles. Yes, we export fucking more now than all those guys. But
what quality?
Is the reason because they keep them in the ground for a bit longer? Because I don't think I've ever had, in particular, an Italian truffle where I've gone... It's been pulled out of the ground too early because it lacks flavour.
Yeah.
Where the Aussie ones, like today, I could have been eating anything. I didn't eat it and go, that's fucking great.
Really?
But Harry got some last week, at the end of last week, and holy fuck, they were good. Mate, I picked one up and I couldn't get the smell off my fingers. For 2 days, I could smell the truffle on my fingers.
Where were they, WA or Tassie? Or?
They were either Yarra or Tassie.
Yeah, right.
He's got a friend.
A couple of hookups.
He's the epitome of an Italian guy, a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
And he won't tell me who it is. So he buys them off his friend and then he invoices the restaurant.
Harry does.
Harry does. Because he doesn't want anybody to know where he gets them from.
Oh, secret squirrel.
And there's a part of me that's like, mate, if you get truffles like that, you get it.
Yeah, go for it. No problems. Yeah.
But I don't know where Justin got some, and Justin's getting some more from Harry this
Yeah.
week. But they were fucking. I mean, it's truffle season, but I thought they were. But it's so Australian just to get them out of the ground a bit early.
Yeah.
That's all. But it's sort of that's the definitive winters here.
Yeah. Truffle menus.
Truffle menus.
That's the other one.
But
Forgot about that. Yeah.
people aren't shy of shelling good money out. Harry sold over 1 kilo of truffles last week.
Really? Just what, as additions to other things, or
He had two specials constantly running with truffle,
Yeah.
and then he had add-ons for the menu.
Yeah, right.
Like if you want this pizza with truffle,
With
you
truffle,
can have it
it's
for
an
$6
extra-
or
yeah, yeah.
whatever. You know, it's worked really, really well.
It's interesting. I think that truffles, there was definitely a period, it's probably, I'd say mid 2000s, where it was like a thing, right?
Yeah.
You had to have a truffle menu. I remember back in Restaurant 2 Days, it was people would wait for those truffle
Yeah.
menus, because we do the February one, and we do February truffle, and then we do the summer truffles, the Italian, the Piedmont
Yep.
truffles. And they were just something else, but it was a big deal. And now I'm just like, I can take or leave. Again, another thing, I can take or leave truffle. I'm not like, oh my God, I love truffle so much, just shave it straight into my mouth. It's
Do you ever
like,
get any of the winter ones that come over?
from
There's more and more coming to Australia. Yeah,
France, from Perigord, or from
or Italy.
yeah. I don't think I've seen
Alba.
yeah. I don't think I've seen winter ones for a while.
The Alba truffles were good. Last time we got some, they were really strong.
That clicking, it's quite intense. It's almost that thing at the moment as well. It's like you look at any restaurant, they're like, oh, what are we going to do? It's like caviar. It's like caviar service for everyone. It's like, yeah, but are you going to nail it? You know, it's the thing. It's like, are we going to do it properly? Because there's no point doing it, right?
Yeah, I mean, and you can't go shaving truffle over everything because
I think you can. You just shouldn't.
Well, you can exactly, and if you're silly enough to pay good money for it, well,
I've
makes you happy.
seen people do that. I'm sure you and I have both seen people do that. I remember one guy just like
wants it
shaving
on a
everything. Chips, I understand.
See, you're as passionate about truffle fries as what my wife
It's a
is.
different conversation. You're adding, truffle fries that's a whole other
Do you
thing.
want me to really fuck it? I'm either going to make your day or I'll ruin it.
Go.
I've spoken previously about our MSG
Yes.
powdered parmesan from the
Yes.
pantry.
Yes.
Microplant some fresh fucking truffle into that, and
Ooh,
then
over.
toss your chips in it.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do that.
That'll put a smile.
That's worthwhile. But I remember getting
That's truffle with some chemical assistance.
I've got some truffle salt from Deb, the truffle lady, a couple of years ago now, and I love that stuff. You need hardly anything, but just a little bit on something like that. It's so good.
The difference between truffle and truffle oil is so significant, but
absolutely. I mean, truffle oil is gross.
Like Aiden, my son, he's halfway through his first year of his apprenticeship now. First time he's been exposed to fresh truffle, and he's like, it doesn't even taste like truffle, Dad. And it's like, you just haven't tasted truffle.
Actual truffle, yeah,
because
exactly.
the shit truffle oil.
Yeah, where it's like everything's dialed up to 11.
Yeah, they put petroleum in it to.
Really?
Yeah, it's putrid, mate. They just there's some dishes where you can put that truffle oil in there and it tastes really good. There's no doubt.
Yeah, if it's like a seasoning.
Yeah,
but if it dominates, it's
there's such a significant difference between truffle oil and fresh truffle, and people who haven't had a lot of fresh truffle, that it's hard for them to understand what they feel as though that truffle should be this massive flavor hit.
Yeah.
But it should be that subtle flavor that just lingers in your palate for so long.
And like you said, it's the aroma. You want that feeling at the back of the palate. You're like, ooh, that sort of really earthy, gamey kind of.
I'll give you a truffle dish, right? And it happens to be a hangover cure. Are you ready for it?
Go.
It involves that putrid truffle oil.
Yeah.
And you got to heat it, which makes it probably carcinogenic for all I know. I don't know.
More than likely.
A little bit of truffle oil in a pan, heat it up, throw in some Hungarian salami. So, you know the hot salami?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't need to be Hungarian, but the
just
hot
salami with chili.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put that in there. Start to render the fat out of that so it starts to get a bit crispy.
Yeah. Like, how are you cutting the salami?
Just really, really thin. If you can buy the filthy pre-cut stuff.
Perfect.
No problem.
Okay.
In the pan.
Yeah.
And then the oil starts coming out of it.
Yeah.
Sliced raw garlic.
Yeah.
Put that in the pan.
Yeah.
No colour. Put some green beans in the pan.
Like string beans.
String beans.
Yep.
Top and tailed. and just keep turning. You don't want to burn the garlic but you've got to get those beans until they're starting to get dark.
Soften. Yep. Okay. Oh.
Like you keep cooking. By this stage now,
so low heat,
really low heat. But by this stage now, the Hungarian salami or the hot salami is starting to get a bit crispy. But you got to keep moving it because a little bit of toast on the garlic is fine.
Yep.
Then take it off the heat. Microplane fresh truffle on it.
Yep.
A little bit of powdered parmesan. Toss in the pan.
Yep.
1, it will cure a hangover, but 2, that will put a fucking horn on a jellyfish.
That sounds
so good.
Sounds pretty tasty. I'm not sure about it. I don't know if I could do all that hungover.
Oh, mate, it's the business.
I mean, I'm quite fortunate that
it feels like an instant hangover cure.
I couldn't do any of that. I don't think I could turn the hob on a stove.
You're more of a frozen Fanta.
I'm more 100%. Exactly. How many different types of Coca-Cola can I get in my body?
I need a cheeseburger and a frozen Coke.
I have, this is a long time ago now, gone hungover to McDonald's and just ordered a large Coke and a large frozen Coke. And that's just...
You have not.
100%. That's just for survival at that point in time. But I think I'm getting, I don't know, I'm not going to say mature, but just older, and I tend not to drink to the point where I need that kind of thing anymore, thankfully. But
I think I need some coaching around that.
I'll need, I'll call you though if you're up to making me breakfast one day. So
you're very good at fucking, being more mature these days, Pete.
Oh, it's just, well, from a booze perspective, I think I have to be as well.
But it certainly helps when you're around it from 8 in the morning till 8
Correct,
at night.
exactly right. Well, that's the thing. It's like painters don't come home and want to paint their house.
No, you come home and your missus says, you want a glass of Shardy? You're like,
absolutely not.
Got a cordial?
Yeah.
Got a fruit cup cordial?
Fruit cup's the best. That's the one. It is. But it's also, I think I've made a concerted effort. And I'm not saying I don't drink. Don't get me wrong. I do. And I've, there's plenty of times where I have. But I think as a general rule, and also if I'm working, and like that when I'm working, I'm like, no, it's just not for me, And it's one of those things where some people, go, oh, relax or whatever. It's like, yeah, I am relaxed. I just don't drink when I'm at work. It's just a personal thing.
Mitch is exactly the same. He won't have one beer.
Yeah. I think that came from a long time ago as well. When I used to ride motorbike, and I was like, I wouldn't drink when I was on the bike, so that sort of started it. But it's also, again, we've talked about this before. It's a slippery slope, and it's just the access is, with the amount of samples I could get. Oh my god!
I was going to say you could be drunk every day of your life.
Absolutely, yeah. And but why? Yeah. The other thing is, it's like now hangovers last for a week and a half. But so it's like,
I've said this to my older son. I don't think I've drunk to get I haven't had a drink to get drunk in probably 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had a drink to take the edge off.
I've been drunk, but it hasn't been my sole.
You slipped and fell.
Yeah.
The other thing is like, on those occasions where it's like that, and you're around a table and there's people and there's open bottles of wine and there's conversation and it goes for 4, 5, 6, 10 hours, whatever. Yeah. That's the stuff that interests me. So I don't think that's a hangover from that. It's like, that's not even a hangover. No. That's just part of what you've fun. Yeah, exactly. You kind of earned that. So just
till 4 o'clock the next afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. Lean in. Just got to do it on a day that you don't have work. That's the key thing.
What are these the vineyards in Queensland doing right now, mate? Is it their go time? Like, is it there's time to shine with
tourists?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think tourism big at this time of the year.
I know a few of the punters from the restaurant are going, I want to go hire a motorhome and do Stanthorpe. And, it would be 3 degrees below zero.
Oh, it's freezing out there. Freezing. Absolutely freezing. But there's still
some of our stuff that went out to Mergen last week. It's
at the South Burnett.
Dusty Hill. Yeah. A couple of cabins out by the lake.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I definitely encourage people to do it. It's a great way to see the region as well.
Because you don't need to go to the Hunter or Yarra or Barossa in winter to experience that if you're chasing it.
You can do that here.
Granted, they're great wine regions, and if you're going to go purely for the wine, that's fine. But you can still get great booze, like great wine, and that same experience
locally,
literally within a couple of hours.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the things that, and we've talked about this before as well, from a wine tourism point of view, the challenge of Queensland is the tyranny of distance. We have that all over Queensland, but specifically for the wine regions, because if someone like flies into Brisbane, they're only going to drive 3 hours south to get to the Granite Belt, or 2.5 hours north to get to South Burnett. you've probably got more chance of getting someone to go south than north, I
Yep.
think, as well. There's more there. It's definitely set up for it. There's more things to do in the
Yep.
Granite Belt as well. But still worthwhile, I think, in terms of exploring the region. It's such a great way to do it. Get a few friends together. Get a minibus tour one of the days so that you can sort of see a few wineries. And then I always say to people, don't try and jam too much in. It's one of the key things for going to wine regions, that don't try and see 6 wineries in a day. Go to 3.
Have you gone out to the Queensland wine regions in winter and stayed?
Yeah.
Is there anywhere that you recommend?
Yeah, definitely.
'Cause I've never done the overnight out there.
So there's so many sort of B&Bs and that kind of stuff. But personally, the last time I was out there was at Ridgemill Estate. So they've got great little cabins out there, sort of fully set up. So you can take your food out if you want to as well, and you can cook for yourself. And
Barbie.
Barbie and that kind of stuff. They're set up for it. And the booze is great. Pete's making great wine out there, Peter McGlash, and making really good wine out in the
What
Granite
sort
Belt.
of booze would you find out there?
The thing for Ridgemill for me, he's got a couple of a very small vineyard of Riesling, which is really cool. Like,
Is that unusual for Queensland?
there's hardly any there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think.
And the reason these spindly little Riesling vines, but they produce really delicious wine. The other go-to from that winery for me is the Chardonnay, the WIP Chardonnay. I think that's so good. It's really, really classic Chardonnay. It tastes, smells, feels like Chardonnay.
What are you paying for that in a restaurant?
Oh, probably. Let me just have a look. Probably around $70, $75, something like that in a restaurant.
Reasonable.
Yeah, and it's quality. It's quality. It might even be more than that actually, but it's really. I really like that wine. And then he does a really great little Grenache blend as well, which I kind of dig. But there's some great wines out there, and that's the thing. It's really. I don't know. It's one of those things. I think historically people might have gone out there, let's say 10, 15, 20 years ago even. Maybe the wines weren't as good. We didn't have the skill. We didn't have winemakers that maybe knew exactly what they were doing. There's a lot of mum and pop sort of operations out there.
Sure.
Now you've got a lot more skill. You've got older vines. You've got maybe some varieties that should be there. But we're still working it out in Queensland as to what varieties work really well. But, people are always like, oh, but I can get it for $8 than Barossa. It's like, that's fine, but it's not the same thing.
No, it's not.
It's like, that's, I remember years ago, guy was like, oh, we want something blind. The group of 4 guys came in the restaurant. They're like, we want something, we don't want to know what it is, but we like big gutsy Shiraz. And I gave him this wine. He's like, this is great. He's like, I love this. I love McLaren Vale Shiraz. This is so good. So glad you gave us McLaren Vale. I'm like, yeah, no problems at all. Anyway, we kept going, went through the whole lunch, and I'm like, does anyone want to guess what the wine is? Like, mate, it's McLaren Vale Shiraz, 100%. He's like, just definitely is. And I pulled it out. I'm like, this is not
Granite Belt.
This is Granite Belt Shiraz. And they nearly died. And all of a sudden the guy's like, yeah, I knew there was something wrong with it. I'm like, fuck off. You've spent the last hour touching that bottle inappropriately, and now, because you've worked out it's from Queensland, you say it's shit. So I was, no, that's not going to fly with me. It's like, that's on you. So, but yeah, I would definitely encourage people to get out to the Granite Belt if you can. It doesn't have to be now. Go whenever. I think it's definitely a worthwhile exercise. I certainly encourage anyone working in hospo in Queensland to get out there.
Yep.
If you haven't, reach out to. There's some great wineries doing some great things. Reach out to your reps.
Really welcoming out there at this.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
People
because there's still stuff happening in the winery as well. They're playing with reds, maybe some blending going on. So there's always something to do at this time as well. So it's not like you're not in the heat of vintage. So it's not like everyone's super pressed for time. They've actually got a little bit more time to do things. So yeah, would definitely encourage that.
It's a bit hard in the Asian restaurants, I find, with the change of seasons. Yes, we tweak the dumplings a little bit and we go heavy with their curries, and it seems like a lot of our specials are more curry centric.
Yeah.
But we see more a diverse change in our menus through our Italian restaurant and Market Bistro. But how do you guys doing the same thing? Like,
I mean, the menu change is kind of just sort of seasonal anyway. So I know we've got a big change coming at Central next week. And that's more so about product as well, like what's available and making sure that we're using the fresh things and the things that are good. But yeah, I think again, similar to probably Rice Boy, like Rick's menu, there's certain things you just can't take things off. There's always plenty of specials, and there's always particularly from a seafood point of view and everything else. But I know the guys they're continually looking at things, so things change more. It's not like a hard change. It's more like softer stuff across the year.
Yep.
So yeah, I think, and Norte's done a sort of similar thing recently, where they just sort of changed up a few dishes here and there, getting ready for the weather.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. I think from a food perspective, not much changes. It's just, we're working on a new venue at the moment, so that's kind of exciting from a food perspective, and seeing what Ollie's doing with that. And, the first taste was on Monday night for that. So as you know, that's always an exciting / nervous sort of situation where
Tony at TKRG, if you
mate, I didn't even go. Unfortunately, I really wanted. I actually wasn't well, but I would have loved to have
he's a
gone.
fucking good cook, that bastard.
Oh, mate, the food looks good, real good.
cook.
Yes, I'm very, very excited about that. But there's. Again, we've always got something happening. So the menu's kind of always evolving in all the venues. Wine list wise, similar kind of thing. I mean, really, you try and write balanced wine lists all year round.
Yeah, sure.
So
your menu's going to be reflective of what's on the food menu.
Absolutely,
right?
Well, it should be. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think it's more so you just, as I said, you see that switch being flicked of people maybe drinking a little bit heavier than what they would. So maybe someone's going from a Pinot to a Cabernet, or someone's switching from white to red, whatever it may be. But still, if you're sitting by the beach in the middle of winter, you're probably still going to be drinking rosé.
And mate, I'm just shocked. We've had like so many, in particular beef, meat, like protein suppliers reach out this week. Prices are going through the fucking roof.
Up, really? Again? Beef
in particular, beef and lamb. Holy fuck! Like it's significant. I don't know whether you've seen on social media. I know that the girls reach out. They listen to our show, which is fantastic. Humble and Duke.
Yeah, awesome.
They posted last night about they've had to adjust their menu
pricing. Oh, the menu
pricing.
Right.
Yeah, but purely because of the price rises, not only in produce but also in labour and super,
power,
all
and everything else. Yeah.
But I mean, we've just rolled over the new financial year because there's a whole bunch of new shit that's just dropped. And they took the approach, which I found interesting, because my wife thought it was a fantastic idea what they did, and I was a bit like, I don't know whether I would have done that. Well, clearly we didn't do it as a group, but I can't help but commend the girls. They basically jumped on social media and let their community know why that some of the prices were going up.
Yep.
Which, good on them.
Yep.
For
transparency can be a very good thing. Yeah.
And I guess that they are the quintessential local neighbourhood restaurant.
Very much so.
It was seriously one of the best meals I've ever had on the Sunshine Coast. Those guys up there, holy fuck, that's a good restaurant.
Yeah. Humble on Duke. We'll just call everyone.
Tag him in, mate.
Tag him in here.
If you want like a proper dining experience on the coast, they're up there with the best we've got. So it's interesting. Like, we're going through all of the process at the moment with some menu changes to be reflective of the increased labour cost and super and all the bits and pieces. But then we get this email this week about a lot of our proteins going up, and some of it's going up $7-8 a kilo. Like, it's a lot.
So that's what, 20% sometimes, right?
Mate, yeah. And it's like, for the first time, I was speaking to Tim, our rep for Kilcoy Global, which we've got a very, very close relationship with Kilcoy Meat, right? And if they're not one of the biggest in Australia, I don't know who is, right? They're massive, these guys, and they do a lot of export.
A lot of export as well, right?
Yeah, so they're big. You know that mutton is nearly paritative to lamb for the price at the moment. But I don't know. It's funny, like, I don't know whether the tariffs that America are putting on Australian beef, but we don't export that much
to there.
But what Tim was saying is that China and South America and a lot of other countries are now buying from Australia because they're not buying from America, because America produces a lot of beef.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just supply and demand, because a lot of people aren't buying American beef. So
export market's gone up.
It's actually gone up.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know. I'm trying to get some, like, it's at the stage where we're probably going to try and put a cold room in somewhere in my place here and buy once a month to try and get some.
Or buy whole steers, or.
Well, no. Just go to our suppliers and say, I understand that the price for one carton's this.
Yeah, give me the
what
price
if we
for
buy
10?
a month?
Yeah.
And look at our cash flow and go, if we can sustain it, maybe we buy off them once a month, because every single time a supplier pulls a truck up at a venue, it costs $40.
Yeah.
So you think about how many suppliers for booze you deal with.
Yeah.
How many suppliers?
It's more for booze.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because a lot of them don't have their own trucks, do they?
So that's the thing. I remember even years ago when I was doing it, it was like, I think it was like $76 or something like that, or that it had been worked out. Basically, every time you open your car door and went into a venue, you've got to sell basically at least a box of wine.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't sell a box of wine at $10 LUC, like $120 worth of wine, you're basically going backwards.
So Suncoast Fresh, our fruit and veggie guys,
Yep.
they worked it out during COVID. It was about $40, a little bit less than $40 during COVID. It'd be obviously be way more now, but so every single time a car stops, it's $40 fucking dollars. So if we can go, we order meat off you 4 times a week. That's $40
we'll
by
make
4.
It yeah.
Why don't we do once a month?
Yep.
But it just means one. I've got to pay.
You're shipping your own meat.
Yeah, but then I've got to figure out how I'm going to get it from my place into the restaurants
in a cold van.
But if I can save across all of the venues, like
huge,
it's a significant amount of money. But you've got to always be trying to workshop.
Absolutely, and the same thing happens with
better
wine.
ways to do it.
Oh, you know, we have done that when we get single drops of wine. So instead of ordering 2 cases a week, it's like, give me half a pallet.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Because you're not paying picking fees every single time you're getting 2 cases. You're not paying delivery.
Yeah.
So there's a benefit to the supplier as well. But then I've got to work out where am I putting a pallet of wine, and then who's going to get it to the venue from there. So because we don't have a central warehouse. But I'm quite fortunate that we've got a couple of really great suppliers who are good friends, and we take space in their warehouse. We pay for it, but we take space in their warehouse and they deliver it for us. So that saves us a considerable amount of money every single year by doing that. But you can't do that unless you've got the volume. Like if you've just got one venue, it's impossible to do that.
And mate, that's why I always say you've got. I plead with any hospitality operator to just speak to their suppliers and figure out if both of you could solve one problem that you may both share.
Yeah.
It could save you a couple of bucks.
You're going to benefit from it.
In particular, if you're a cafe or something, if you can save $1 or $2 off bacon and eggs in the morning time, it's fucking massive.
Absolutely.
But for me, I'm chasing a couple of kilos off beef cheeks because we use a ton of them a week. And it's like a couple of dollars off a kilo
adds up to a big dollar.
$100,000 a year.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so it's hard. And I believe for the last few months we've been in a buyer's market, but I don't know whether that's changing. It'll be interesting. The next couple of months will be interesting. But I always find that as soon as the season changes as well, there seems to be a bit more.
The sentiment changes a little bit.
Not turmoil, but people are like, oh, prices are going. You see it every single year at Christmas time with prawns and seafood and stuff like that. But I know that weather's been a bit against us up here. But I was at Mooloolaba Slipway the other day. Fucking hell, they had some nice fish in there.
Yeah, right.
Big knobby snapper, fresh as a daisy, coral trout. You know, I haven't seen good fish like that around for a while. I reckon this week might be knocked around a bit because of that wind that's coming up from Sydney. But I enjoy these colder months, and that it's probably the most dramatic menu change you'll see in most restaurants is right now.
Yeah, I agree.
It's cool. I like it.
I think I agree. I also, like I said, I like feeling cool.
Yeah.
Because, otherwise it's kind of fairly monotone most of the year, which is not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. There's a reason why we live here.
Yeah, I agree.
But it is nice every now and then to go, oh, it's a little bit cool. I got to, buy another jumper.
Put a jumper on.
Yeah, exactly. Go out and spend $1 million again. So, all right, mate. Well, good chat.
Happy chat.
Nice to sit around the fire and
you
talk
didn't
a bit
even
of
need
shit,
to take your jumper off.
No, I'm medium rare, I think, at this point in time, though. But
cooled down a little bit.
So am I. It definitely has dropped down a little bit nicely. So we'll go get some marshmallows and get cracking.
See you next time.
Cheers, mate.